Happy Wednesday. Hope everyone's doing well, staying healthy, being smart, and looking for those opportunities that we discussed yesterday. Last Thursday morning, I woke up and did what I do every morning when I get up. I walked over to a table in our bedroom and I looked at my phone to see what was going on in the world. I was also interested to see a text message that I'd heard had come in, but quite honestly, I was already in bed and didn't feel like getting up to see what the reply was. And when I picked up my phone and put my thumb on the place where it would open my phone up, nothing happened. A blank black screen was staring back at me. I tried it again. Same thing. I tried pushing the button on the side of my phone. Let's restart this thing. Nothing. Great. My phone is dead. How am I going to connect? How am I going to check my email? How am I going to communicate? Great. I go through the rest of my morning routine. I go into the kitchen and I share the good news with my wife, Missy. And she said, "Well, did you have it plugged in?" Yes, I had the phone plugged in. She looked at the phone and walked over to the other phone charger we have there in our kitchen, unplugged the iPad, plugged my iPhone into it, and she gave me one of those looks that a wife gives a husband after they've been married for so long, and she just smirked and said, "Your battery was dead." And I heard the ping, and I walked over, and sure enough, it was starting to charge. Ends up, the problem was the charger I had it plugged into was plugged into a power strip, and somehow that power strip had got turned off. I blamed it on our dog Ellie. I know that I would not have done that. Not in the best of moods that morning. Got to work rather. Phone was back up to 88% and life was getting back to normal. The same day, an email arrived from our bishop, Bishop Dindy Taylor of the Holston Annual Conference. And in it, she's addressing the clergy and churches of Holston. It was a rather lengthy letter, and bishops tend to drone on from time to time. Just kidding, Bishop Taylor. But in it addressed the COVID-19 virus, what's going on, and was giving us recommendations. The way I read it, local churches would have the discretion on whether or not to conduct corporate worship, how to conduct small groups, Bible studies, etc. I talked to Ken Everett, chair of our administrative board, also leader of our youth here, and we were discussing what we should do, because the reality is 40% of our regular attendees on Sunday morning are in the age category identified as higher risk, and then we have a great group of young kids. God love them. They're little petri dishes. So we were weighing the pros and cons of what we needed to do with church, because we did not want to put people at risk. The next day, we didn't have to make that call because a clarifying letter did come out from the bishop, and we were mandated to close worship in our churches on the 15th and the 22nd, and quite honestly, I don't know in the foreseeable future when we will be able to reopen for our regular services, for our regular small groups, and all those things that we do. I heard from several people when that announcement came out. A lot of people were in support of it and understood it. Some people were incredulous that we would be dictated to, that we couldn't open our churches. I get it. I really do. I had terribly mixed emotions about having to make that decision. And quite honestly, I'm glad it was sort of made for us. My mind went back to a question that I asked in a sermon several years ago. What if Mount Hermon United Methodist Church wasn't here? Would anyone miss us? I ask that from the pulpit as a rhetorical question, quite honestly, to try to stir some momentum, to get some groups active, and for us to explore new ways to do ministry in the community, and it worked. Well, we aren't going to be meeting together here under one roof in the foreseeable future. This little, beautiful, white church on the hill in Powell will sit empty. But that doesn't mean the church isn't here. These past 2 Sundays, honestly, I felt so unplugged, disconnected from my church family. I gained a new understanding of the Apostle Paul's words when he wrote to the church at Rome, "I long to see you, so that I may impart to you some spiritual gift to make you strong. That is, that you and I may mutually be encouraged by each other's faith." I miss our time together. I miss the hugs at the front door. I miss the stories that are told. I miss gathering in the fellowship hall to break bread. I miss Doc Ryan's chicken and dumplings. And let us consider how we may spur one another on toward love and good deeds, not giving up meeting together as some people are in the habit of doing, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day approaching. Today I encourage us to connect with each other. Stay connected. Get plugged into the source. Stay connected with God. Do that through your scripture, through your devotional study. Do that by fellowshipping either online or within appropriate guidelines and social protocols that we're living under. Because the day is coming when all this will be behind us. The day is coming when we'll all be gathered back under one roof, breaking bread together at the table of the Lord, as well as having fellowship with one another in all the ways and forms in which we do. But until that day arrives, move forward in love, performing good deeds for one another. Grace and peace, my friends.